It's Coach Kurt. So this one is by request. Getting to the escort position in law enforcement. That's where we do a lot of our cuffing. Here you see a good example of the clinch range fighting. You have a female officer out of Chicago who must do Ju-jitsu or judo. She's doing a great job of taking the person's kazushi, off balancing them. When you do that, you're doing the snap down motions and the grip fighting. He can't swing on her because he has no balance. All he is thinking is, I got to keep my balance so I can A, either run away from her, or B, try to punch her. Well, it's hard to do that when you're fighting for your balance. How do you get to the escort position? You see me in the escort position now, the 2-on-1 position, the Russian 2-on-1 I like to call it, because that's what it's called in wrestling and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You do that by practicing the pummeling range, and you're pummeling. Pummeling is a drill. I've had officers say, why would I pummel? Well, don't think of it as pummeling for pummeling's sake. Think about it as pummeling to learn to get to the double underhook, to learn to get to the arm pass, to learn to get to the duck under or the double underhooks, whatever it takes to get to the throwing or takedown or projection position so you can handcuff against a resisting opponent. Here you see some real basic pummeling. In the little box window, you see some what I call clinch range sparring or dirty boxing range. It's just a very important range, probably the most important range in law enforcement or in control tactics, and definitely in Taiho Jutsu, the Japanese art of arresting. That is the whole point of learning this stuff, is being comfortable in the clinch range. And the only way to do that is to practice. And to get to these positions for arresting, you're going to have to learn how to pummel. I try to get as much of that in on control tactics for warm-ups, but our time is limited. So why are we doing this? Again, to get to the escort position, because so much of what we do is from the escort position to take somebody into custody, to handcuff them. You see that in all our control tactics drills, and on screen you're just seeing various ways to take people to the ground. You will see what I call soft takedowns in Taiho Jutsu, or in this case control tactics. Is it objectively reasonable? Are you taking the person down in a manner that you can control the takedown and they're not getting their head bashed on the ground? You can juice up these takedowns if you have to, but you should be able to start low and raise the level of the takedown as needed. There we are, a good, what I call the elbow shield against a punch, taking the person down with a body lock, and then mounting for handcuffing position. See, I'm holding the position before submission. You're not in a hurry to get into handcuffing. You have to have control of the situation. Same entry, but a different takedown. I did a duck under, very important, duck under to take the back to a hip bump takedown. And here you will see hip bump takedown. Again, I did a duck under from a punch, and I did a hip bump. That's one of my favorite takedowns because it's super quick, super easy to teach, and it's very ethical. Again, me doing it against my former student Val, my last duty station. She was an officer from another department I worked with. She just did hip bump, knee on belly, slid to mount. She's doing what I call the little slappy slaps. I call them V8 strikes. And then she went to Americana, and she's talking to me like, hey, man, it's just a warrant. Relax. She's trying to get me out of my lizard brain. I'm playing the bad guy. See how she threw that hook in? That way I can't lodge her off of me. And now she's got control of me from Americana. She's going into the chicken wing or the arm bar handcuffing position. Guys, super important to get to this position, and we're going to go to do a part 2 about the ground. This one's going to be all about the standing clinch range stuff, because that was what the first request was how do I get from the escort position to handcuffing and so forth. So this video is all that. Here you see on my favorite technique, the arm pass. Big fan of the duck under too, especially if somebody's taller. It's easier to do that. But these are things you do then from the escort position. Here you're seeing the very standard old school armbar takedown. If you practice Taiho Jutsu with me, then you know that it's something that I teach. It's regularly. Here's the escort position we're talking about. The problem with the standard takedown is that I only have 8 hours a year to teach stuff, and some of that isn't even control tactics. It's baton and pepper spray, and so I do prefer to teach what you just saw, the Russian 2-on-1 armbar takedown. It's from wrestling. It's from BJJ. You are taking control of their arm from the escort position. The 2-on-1, there's the classic. And again, I'm not a big fan of teaching it in control tactics anymore because people tend to try to muscle it. They try to force it down. See, I'm demonstrating that they try to use their body weight and athleticism to force the person down. And you can do it if you're bigger, stronger, more athletic than the bad guy. If you're 6'5" and way bigger than the bad guy, sure, you can do it. But if you're an average Joe like me with a dad bod, maybe I can't pull that stuff off unless I have really good technique. So I prefer teaching the Russian 2-on-1. That's the classic position right there. This is the modified escort position. See, my elbow is tucked in. My third point of contact is my head on his shoulder, or I'm using the wrestling headbutt, I like to call it, into their ear or the side of their head. Just a point of contact. You see it in wrestling, you see it in Brazilian Jiu-jitsu. Super effective way to control, and then I'm just bending in the knees and bending over to get them over. Super effective way to get somebody to the ground, and it's also easy to eject yourself from the situation if you have to, and then you gain space, maybe with some strikes, and then get to your bat belt, pepper spray, baton, taser, what have you. But in this case, taking him down for handcuffing. Again, handcuffing will be in the second video, but this is just what do we do from the escort, or how do we get to the escort. Again, standard classic armbar. Problem is people do it wrong quite a bit. You see what I call the circle dance. You see that on body cams quite a bit, or not body cams, the old vehicle cams. But the double arm, or the Russian 2-on-1 takedown, or the double takedown, or I'm sorry, the Russian 2-on-1, or just the regular 2-on-1, you see that I'm using my body weight on the arm. I'm using the third point of contact is the head, and I'm taking them down, taking control of the arm, rear mount, position before submission, or in this case, position before handcuffing. I'm holding the position. I'm not in a hurry. We'll cover more of that in the second video. Guys, the 2-on-1, my very favorite takedown. If I only had one to teach, I like to teach it. But I also like to teach what I call Plan B. What happens if they feel it and they're trying to pull away and they curl their arm in? I do what's called an entering throw. In my system of Taiho Jutsu, it's entering throw number 1. There it is. It's a great way to take them down. Their energy is going away from you. They're pulling away. They're curling their arm. And here it is in a teaching format. They curl their arm in. So what do? Again, you're in the 2-on-1 position. You put your right hand, in this case, right hand on the chin. I'm using it as a guiding, redirecting, off-balancing. The second hand is going on their lower back. Guys, this is a push-pull method. I'm pushing the chin, and I'm pulling. It's kind of a push-push, actually. But you see how you're taking them down. They curl in. They're pulling away from you. And in that case, you go with their energy. Don't pull back. Let them suck you in. You go up the center line. The right hand is on the lower back. The left hand is on the chin, and you take them down. What the right hand on the back is doing is keeping them from stepping back out of it and gaining their balance back. This is blocking their body from getting their balance back. You see that I am rolling the chin and just taking them down. It's a nice circular motion. This is what I call entering throw number 2. They're entering throws because you're entering their center line. You're entering their center balance, and you're taking them down. Here is the escort position. I'm going to point up to the ceiling or up to the skyline, and then I'm stepping in at the same time. You'll see I'll be stepping in, through, and then rolling the shoulder. It's a great way to take somebody down. I call that entering throw number 2. Then you could either go away, or in this case, I went knee on belly to slide in for handcuffing. Entering throw number 3. This is one where they try to pull away from you, but they keep the arm straight instead of bending it like in Plan B. The left leg in this case is going behind their body. The left arm is going in front of the body, and then you're rotating your hips. This is all the power is in the hips. Don't try to push them over with your arm. And again, the leg is behind them, keeping them from stepping away or stepping back, and you're tripping them over your leg. And they slide right down your thigh. You see that right here. He's stepping back, sliding right down my thigh, off my knee, and onto the ground. Very ethical takedown. Most of these will be ethical. Here is a twist lock, or otherwise known as Sankyo. Guys, if you see my channel, you see that I'm a huge fan of this technique. I'm not going to get into great detail in how to do it in this video, because I don't teach it in control tactics anymore, even though I have used this extensively over the years on the street, especially against the drunks or people that don't want to be arrested. This is a favorite of mine. You're in the escort position. You go over their arm. You're pushing their head away to off-balance them. And then you're going into what's a four-corner throw or a shoulder lock takedown. It's a key lock, basically, in some systems. They call it a key lock. Again, I'm pushing them away. I don't want them to look at what I'm doing. It's Secret Ninja stuff. I'm pushing and I'm turning into the takedown. That is a four-corner key lock position. Here is the Sankyo defense. I thought I'd throw this in. The Sankyo on the ground against rear naked choke. I've used this in Ju-jitsu against people, and it surprises them. So back on task, here we are going into a wrist lock from the pummeling position. That's Kodagaishi, outward wrist lock. Here's another angle. It's a chuck by. Another way to get to the escort position. Here it is just teaching the wrist lock from the escort position. I'm dropping the weight. The key is you drop the weight. You keep their wrist even with your center line, your center of balance. See how I'm going down and I'm not going keeping the wrist up. If I keep the wrist up, they keep their balance. If I drop down, then it takes their balance. And that is the outward wrist takedown. So this is an arm pull takedown. It's one of my favorite. You grab onto the wrist and then you basically pull. I'm saying you're pulling the arm to the center between the two of you, between their legs and your legs. And guys, this is great. This is a great takedown. I've used this one in the real world as well. It's a terrific way to get somebody to the ground, ethically, quick, fast, and in a hurry. And then I'm just cupping the side and pulling them over. I'm going to turn and go knee on belly. Guys, again, these positions are just a demonstration. Don't try to learn from this video. It's just too much, too quick. But what do you do from the escort position? These are some of my favorite. If you have any requests, send them my way. Please like, subscribe, and share, and stay safe.
Let's roll. Hey, let's be careful out.